English.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you everybody for coming. I'm ShaunBurkhart, and today I'd like to talk to you about President Abraham Lincoln. With President's Day just happening a few days ago, it brings to mind some of the great presidents such as President Lincoln. Through this speech I'd like to remind you of some of the great works of this man, and perhaps even enlightening you on a few facts you didn't know about him. I'll be going over his early life, his presidential career, the effects of his death, and even how he lives on today. Mr. Lincoln best expressed his humble beginnings in this quote from whitehouse.gov. I was born February 12, 1809 in Hardin County, Kentucky. My mother, who died in my 10th year, was of a family of the name Hawks. There I grew up. Of course, when I came to age, I did not know much. Still, somehow I could read, write, and cipher. But that was all. After his birth mother passed away, like he said, his father remarried to Sarah Bush Johnston, who, according to Wikipedia.org, Lincoln would call mother for the rest of his life. Lincoln left home and went to New Salem, Illinois at the age of 22, with only 18 months of formal schooling. About a year later, in 1832, Lincoln tried his hand at politics for the first time in an unsuccessful campaign for the Illinois General Assembly. For the next 2 years, he held down several different jobs, including head of the militia during the Black Hawk War, until he won an election to be the state legislator, which he served as for the next 8 years. He also served a term in the U.S. House of Representatives. In 1858, Lincoln ran for the U.S. Senate against Stephen A. Douglas and had an infamous series of debates with him. Though Lincoln lost the race for the Senate, these debates gave him national recognition that he would need in the future. In 1860, Lincoln was chosen as the Republican presidential nominee, beating out William Seward, who was thought was going to get it beforehand. It is interesting to note that Lincoln did not campaign or give speeches, but allowed state representatives to handle that. Needless to say, Lincoln was elected as the 16th president. But his election was unique because he was the first Republican delegate to win the presidency completely on the strength of the North. He wasn't even on the ballot in 9 southern states and won only 2 out of the 996 southern counties. Just before Lincoln's inauguration, South Carolina, as well as 6 other southern states, seceded from the Union, declaring themselves the Confederate States of America, starting the Civil War. In April 1861, fighting began in these first 7 states, and Lincoln was forced to send an army of over 75,000 people to recapture the lost area. But by doing this, he caused 4 other states to secede from the Union, including Virginia and Arkansas. Though Lincoln is known for freeing the slaves during this war, he made it very clear that this war was fought to preserve the Union, not to free slaves. Nevertheless, on January 1st, 1863, all slaves in the Union were declared by the Emancipation Proclamation, thereby weakening the South's power. Slowly, the South started to lose more and more power, and on April 9th, 1865, the war was officially declared over. But 5 days later, one more casualty of the war occurred. On April 14th of that same year, President Lincoln was assassinated by actor John Wilkes Booth, who thought he was aiding the South's cause, though in reality, they had already signed the papers and the war was over. Life was forced to continue on for America. It was the first presidential assassination in U.S. history, so it scared many and broke the hearts of more. Though many were sad, there was much left to do. Vice President Andrew Johnson attempted to fill Lincoln's shoes as the new president and worked diligently to reconstruct the Union and the South. But upon looking on the example of Mr. Lincoln, everyone was able to continue on. The United States had become a new country with a new unity to continue onward. But even now, in 2008, President Lincoln still lives on, partly because of the many memorials of him, including the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., the preservation of the log cabin in which he was born in, his image on the $5 bill and the penny, He's even immortalized in the Hall of Presidents theme park attraction at Disneyland in California and Disney World in Florida. He's also remembered by the choices he made. Due to his choice of the Emancipation Proclamation, for example, slavery was abolished, and because of that, black rights were able to be received. And because of those black rights, many other situations have occurred. But probably how he is most remembered is by the words he spoke. Some of his most famous quotes are, "You can fool some people all of the time, and all the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. I shall try to correct error when shown to be error, and I shall adopt new views so fast that they shall appear to be true views. And this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people, shall not perish from the earth." Abraham Lincoln was a great man who molded our country, and without him our country would be completely different. Through his presidential actions and his life, he has literally changed our country and the world.